Vlog 55, Romancing the Photograph. In this episode, we recoil back to the Romance era of art and how it can permeate our work by spawning new challenges, as we mentioned in our most recent past vlog, number 54. Greetings! I'm Rodger Newbold, and here with episode number 55 of the Experience Photography Vlog. Our trusted editor is Mr. Matt Rich. Are you there, my friend? Excellent. I'm glad to see you on the uptake. Doing better. Alrighty. You know, Oscar Wilde lived 1854 to 1900. He was an Irish poet, and he commented, "To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist, and that's all." You know, his statement may have well been directed to his flamboyant fashionistas, but the statement and the sentiment of a statement is true. Most people fail to even attempt to generate a vital existence and only occupy a diminishing existence in this world. We cannot change the cards that we were dealt. It's how we play the hand that counts. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that elusive 10% of effort. That's the part that completes the paltry and the obligatory efforts as designated. To abide in an extraordinary life, we must desire and attempt to indulge in continuous improvements in our creative realms. The tragedy is we too often just postpone our efforts until we can no longer recollect. Why? Why haven't you committed? Well, it requires courage to enhance your life, and too many pray or hope for an easier life rather than the strength to endure the more difficult undertakings. Now, you are welcome to interpret that previous statement as either religious or secular, depending on your persuasion. But the sentiment is true. For growth transpires down in the valleys of our life. It's in the deep shadows where others are blind to the conflict. They don't see. It's the unobserved loneliness where the light builds character if we choose to indulge. So, what are your intentions? Fight or flight? Creative or mundane? You know, the photographer Elliot Porter, he held the first exhibition of color photography at the Metropolitan Museum of Modern Art in New York City, and that was only in 1979. He challenged the standard of black and white images. That was the only thing that was accepted in museums at that time. He stood up to the convention of the time and declared his will to display color imagery. He concluded to overcome the negative press of fading colors and the impermanence of the current process by adopting a laborious yet stable dye transfer color printing system. He expanded his efforts, won the battle, and assured his place in history. Become a master unto yourself. Take a look at Eliot's print. The dye transfers are gorgeous. Now, Elliot Porter often used the term the intimate landscape to describe his work, and he was assuring us that what he had created was uniquely his own. It was a more personal and emotional image. So what makes a intimate landscape? Well, let me tell you, it's your unique vision. And it tells a story about the scene in your own personal style, using your feelings to complete the photograph in your own way. The picture truly becomes an intimate situation. Now, I mean, just too often using words like intimate become misconstrued to infer something salacious and reserved for things behind closed doors. Intimate, as we are referring to it in Romanticism here, we're only bringing up a period of art history that began in the 1800s. We have no intent of going to towel snapping on rear ends in a juvenile movie, and I'm just even sorry to have to qualify that. Now, you may go all scientific here and read several books on art history, as we did, or you can sashay along with my premise that Romanticism still exists, even if it's in a very limited, tiny base. A number of dissertations on the subject of Romantic style of art are as varied as contradictory and modern political debate. Finding little clarity in all those essays, we turn to the time-honored process of self-immersion in hundreds of images to describe as romantic or impressionistic, and then decide what that style actually meant to us and why it is the love of this style of imagery. So what's the style? First, the style of imagery is luminous. They tend to exude light. Second, they present a sense of being enveloped in glorious textural feel, which often glows with a rich fineness about it. Third, they have a sympathy of depth, a heroic generosity, patriotic zeal, and strong drama. 4, they honor and imbue the subject with the qualities of idealism, courage, and thoughtfulness. Chivalry, if you will. All of this has been completed by photographers in a time long ago, using a lot of great forethought and planning. As photography has become more flexible and elastic in this digital arena, we're able to generate such photographs in post-production. You know, the tools still require sensitivity and creative thought, and a lot of skill and application. But they are accessible to anybody who has a camera, a computer, and an imagination. And as for this submission, I used photographs of mine that you've seen before and witnessed them, and I am reimagining, and developing them into a style that we're discussing today. Now, these are all my copyright photographs, and using it just for example so you can see how easy this is. The application. In this photograph. This is a picture of the castle at Capitol Reef National Park. Infusing the image with a greater sense of luminosity and added texture produced a statelier look for the castle. It went from a simple stack of dirt and rocks to a more magnificent residence fit for a king. In Factory Butte near Capitol Reef, this was taken during an incoming storm. The butte was partially clad with a shadow, which wrapped around the butte in the monarch's flourish. It added a lot to this, and we added a golden texture crowning the butte with rich, triumphant look. You know, the texture just intensified the celebrated mood. In this picture, the old barn and the cliff face was taken with an extended shutter speed. Now, what it did was it allowed the clouds to just march on their trek through the sky, describing a real sense of movement. Long exposures imparts a great touch of sensitivity and complexity in this picture, but the long exposure was enhanced by encouraging the long exposure using neutral density filters. You can use polarizers and very small f-stops. You know, their role probably will necessitate the use of a tripod, cable release, or other stabilization procedures that we've talked about in the past. Oh, the pain to achieve great quality. As Baudelaire stated, Romanticism neither depends on the choice of the subject, nor does it tell the exact truth, but it expresses a feeling. That's what we're after. What we glean from this image is the alluring mood generated by the Western genre of the whole thing. Now take a look at Hotel Milford, Utah. Some will debate the fact that this building cannot be a true romantic picture because romantic may be looked at as only applicable in describing the naive, uncontaminated landscape. Others will just look at this and categorize it as sentimental or picturesque or nostalgic. But since it's conforming to what it meant to me, I can live with impressionistic romanticism. The hotel was photographed in an early morning wandering in this small town. Now the texture and the warmth provided a totally different mood for it. Now take a look at this red bridge photographed here in Utah. It was made in a nearby park in Salt Lake City, back kind of in a shady alcove. So never settle for good photograph when you can create a great one. If you think you can make a better job of what you began, then stop and redo it. Experiment with what you've been given and what you have available in ways that you've only dreamt about in the past. Nothing in the world can replace persistence. Not even talent nor education can replace or eclipse the stickety-tooty, and I mean persistence. Think, dream, visualize the themes that might become. It requires courage to do things that others are afraid to accomplish. Your fate has not been written until you put down the pen. If you commence, the way will appear. You have to get out and get started. You know, the romance of the bridge lies in this newly provided, generous, supplementary texture. It created a mood. It now sings and becomes a lavish place to spend time. Now take a look at this desert incline, a stunning afternoon photograph made in a remote, unattended area along the Utah-Arizona border. Until a few years ago, this location was totally obscure. It was almost death-defying to reach. Certainly, the ambiguous location was better for the delicate environment involved. But we believe the greater obstacle, the more glory in overcoming it. And I'm not talking about regular glory as a vanquishing conqueror. I'm talking about that of high personal achievement. Don't let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. Get on with the job. Imagine, think. We know for a fact that people are far more resilient than they believe they are. They are smarter than they think they are, and positively more creative than the adversary. Your happiness blossoms by surviving the complications of the challenges faced. Don't retreat from a match. Run towards the new experiences to be gained. Once the storm is past, you'll be a transformed person. So keep your fears to yourself, but share your valor with others. The daring addition of a wicked texture and the increased contrast and the ebullient use of color augments the passion found in this wondrous place. Now take a look at Dancing in the Sky. The off-camera flash halted an instant of magic beyond my comprehension as I clicked the shutter. Yeah, the romantic impressionistic effect was fashioned with the use of a gossamer thin silk scarf. A little added color and contrast tuning amplified the impact to even a greater degree. Minute I clicked it, soon as I saw it, instantly I could hear the Beach Boys crooning, "Oh, when something comes up to me, they don't even try, 'cause if it had a set of wings, man, I know she would fly." And fly she did. Be strong, be brave. Delacroix historically and emphatically decreed the inspired does not require the authorization of others any more than the lion needs the approval of the sheep. Colossal heroism and drama is embraced and celebrated through the distinguished epic of romantic art. Heroism may be a powerful force as it lionizes the achievement, but it may launch magnificent endeavors. But remember to incorporate a generous caring for others. It's sadly lacking in our public society. Consider the purpose of the movement was to advocate for the importance of imagination and influence original artistic individualism and glorification of nature. Take a chance. Invoke your own creative challenge. Play the cards you have been dealt with extraordinary aplomb. We do hope that this will direct you into new, distinctive personal voice and encourage some work filled with innovative, restless spirit in discovering your world. Take a challenge from last week, like we did this week, and try it. Try something new. Our time for today has elapsed. Please make a new friend and share this with them. Photograph with greater abandon. Subscribe. Hey, give us big thumbs up. Well, my friends, soar well until we meet again here online. And a tip of my hat to you. Do well. Cheerio.